I would like to welcome you to today's webinar, Creating Virtual Events for Your Salesforce. And I'm really looking forward to sharing with you today some best practices for virtual parties, along with some technology options that you have when you're planning these from a corporate level. For those of you that don't know me, I am Jennifer Fong. I am a managing principal with Luce, Murphy, Fong, and Associates, who is the sponsor of today's webinar. And I will be your presenter for today. If you don't already know me, I am a direct sales corporate consultant that helps party plan and network marketing companies throughout the direct selling industry embrace new technologies and adapt to the rapidly changing sales environment that we're facing today. I am a former direct sales company CEO. I have worked with companies throughout the industry to master the sales and marketing challenges presented by today's technology. I also help companies create effective social media policy and strategy, develop virtual sales strategy and presentations. I write and deliver Salesforce training, and I also work alongside the Luce Murphy Fong team to help companies make the operational decisions that lead to growth. And you may be familiar with my blog. I do blog about social media and its use in the direct sales industry at jenfongspeaks.com. So let's jump right into this. Here are the topics that we are going to cover today. We're actually going to start with a look at what we mean when we say virtual party, because there's some different things out there that are being called virtual parties, and they don't look the same. So we're just going to kind of get on the same page with that. We'll get into the pros and the cons of these events, and then talk about why it's making sense from a corporate standpoint to get into this now, even if we think the cons might outweigh the pros. Then I'm going to take you through some of what we are seeing out there today. It's a little bit like the Wild West out there right now with these virtual parties. We will take a look at some best practices for virtual party. There are some things you definitely can do to make them more effective. We will talk about 4 technology options that are available for virtual parties today. And finally, we are going to talk about what you need to provide from a corporate level to create a duplicatable on-brand virtual party experience. So lots to cover today, so let's jump right in. First of all, what is a virtual party? You've very likely heard the phrase virtual party thrown around out there. Like I said, it is kind of the Wild West out there in terms of consultants saying, I'm doing a virtual party. You go on Facebook, do a search like I've done here, and you're going to see a lot of different things come up. You're also going to see a lot of people out there selling wisdom on virtual parties, some better than others. But what exactly is a virtual party? It's actually become a phrase that is used to describe some different experiences. The first one is an asynchronous catalog, quote-unquote, catalog party, which is run through a platform like Facebook, most often using a Facebook event, where a consultant posts a link to the online catalog on her website for a set period of time and collects orders. The consultant may post tips throughout the shopping period through a number of days, maybe a week, related to the product line. These have very limited effectiveness in terms of sales, even if that consultant is in there giving good tips and giving good information and trying to promote engagement. Pretty much these are only okay. Better than maybe just handing somebody a catalog, but still not a lot of interaction. Then there is also the live online event, which is held at a specific time and where people all log on at the same time to an online platform. Sometimes it's Facebook, sometimes it's Skype. There are other platforms as well. And products or the opportunity are presented. The consultant may communicate, depending on the platform, using chat. She may use live streaming video. It might be pre-recorded video. This can be done through a number of platforms that we're going to talk about today. And some consultants are having a lot of success with these. They're doing them very well. And there are some consultants out there that are doing these very badly. And everything that I've seen up till now coming out of the field is not terribly duplicatable. I was having a conversation with the president of a direct selling company a couple weeks ago, and she was saying, the only way these seem to work is if your consultant is one of your very, very best. If not everybody can do these. So it's time for corporate to really put together a duplicatable model that everyone can use, if we're going to do these at all. But are virtual parties even a good idea? Our consultants certainly seem to think so, judging by how many of them we're seeing lately and how many consultants are popping up selling the knowledge. And they do appeal to a certain customer who may not have the time to attend an in-home party, or who needs a preview before they decide to commit the limited time that they have to an in-home party. However, there are a lot of cons as well as pros to these virtual parties. So let's just take a look at some of these. Some of the cons, and we'll start there because it's a longer list, there are technical challenges with virtual parties that we often run into, both from the guest standpoint. I think anybody who's ever done one, and I've done several of them, you always run into somebody's grandma who just cannot get on no matter what and doesn't know how to switch browsers and all kinds of technical issues. And consultants as well can experience a very high level of frustration as they try to figure out all the moving parts, and there are a lot of moving parts to these, and get all of the technology to cooperate. Consultants are also creating their own materials, and I got to tell you, there's a lot of stuff that is off-brand. That is especially for companies whose brand is pretty tightly controlled and the brand messaging is tightly controlled, jewelry companies, beauty companies, companies where they really want to project one thing. When you've got consultants out there who are being advised to create silly, crazy engagements, it can cause your brand messaging to suffer. Another con of virtual parties, typically, not always, someone will always have a story, but typically sales at these things are lower than in-home parties. And you can't do all three of your things. You can't book, sell, and recruit typically well at a virtual party. We find with virtual parties that one objective tends to work best. So you either go in saying, I'm going to sell. That's what this is about. Or I'm going to have an opportunity event. That's what this is about. But one objective tends to work best in a virtual event. And, our biggest con, and the thing I think that most direct selling companies worry about when we start talking about these events, we don't want consultants to say, oh, gosh, I'm just going to do the whole business online, and they think that this replaces the in-home party, because it really doesn't. So the messaging for these parties is so important. Now, that's a lot of cons, and there's a lot of issues we need to work through as we consider this. But there are some pros as well. First of all, it is a better introduction to the brand than a catalog party is, because at least they're getting some kind of an interactive experience. They can ask questions, and they can begin to build a relationship with that consultant, at least from seeing them. It can also help to increase in-home party bookings. We have found that these virtual parties can be a great way to introduce the brand enough that people decide to commit to the in-home party. So knowing these pros and cons, we do need to be careful about how we present these to the field. We do not want them to think that they don't need to do in-home parties anymore. Direct sales companies, that the messaging must be that these may be a good way to get bookings and give people a taste, but they will most likely not be high sales, and they do not replace in-home parties. The virtual experience should be considered an opener for a future, more intimate experience with the products in the company. And I already shared with you that, one objective is pretty much what you can get done at an in-home party. At a virtual party. So regardless of whether we really want the field to be doing in-home parties or not, we need to be cognizant of the fact that consultants are doing these. Similar to the evolution of social media in the past, consultants want to do virtual parties, and they are leading the charge with varying degrees of success. Emphasis on varying. It's time for companies, just like with social media a few years back, it is time for companies to get out in front of this so that we can ensure that customers are having consistent, positive brand experiences. And to ensure that our opportunity is attractive to everyone, a duplicatable model is important. A virtual party cannot rely on the personality of the consultant, which unfortunately is what is primarily being taught out there today by outside trainers. So companies really kind of need to take hold of this and create something that everybody can do, not just your really, really good consultants. So what is going on out there today? I mean, I'm sure you've seen it. We've got consultants setting up Facebook parties, inviting the world, spamming their friends, and trampling on the brand image. You can see up here, you know, this virtual party light party, which is just something that I searched on Facebook. This event is set to public, which is something you should never do, because then everything that happens there streams out into the news feed and can be very, very spammy. You can see this person invited hundreds of people from their friend list. So again, it is very, very spammy. And we've got for this party light party here a picture of somebody jumping a car and a cat. I do not believe, not exactly on brand. It's really important that companies provide the material so that this feels like a party light party, because right now it does not. We also are seeing Skype parties, which can be frustrating to non-Skype using guests who have to sign up for accounts, download software, and that, if you don't already use it, this can generally create a negative brand experience for guests. We are seeing consultants creating their own product demo videos and putting them out on YouTube for all the world to see. And we all know what problems can be created when consultants start making their own videos. I will never forget the day that I was sitting with a client company, and we were just going out and doing a search on YouTube for that company, and we came up, it was a very high-end fashion line, and there was a consultant demoing products in front of a dirty, stained carpet, and just so off-brand. And it's just not good. Companies need to create it. We don't want consultants doing it. While some may be very good at it, there are a lot of folks that are not. So not good. And this is a lot of what we're seeing, because trainers are telling your Salesforce, go make videos. Go make videos. This is what you need. And we don't want that to happen if we want to maintain brand consistency. We also see trainers out there who are encouraging consultants to create imagery which will make their parties fun, but it's completely off-brand. We're also finding that both consultants and guests are having technical difficulties with these parties, which leads to a negative impression of the brand and honestly can negatively impact your retention, because you know if your consultants are getting frustrated, they are less likely to want to stay. And all the training out there today really relies heavily on the personality of the consultant. If you're not fun, your party will flop. So consultants are experiencing the added stress of trying to be fun enough to be successful. And this doesn't bode well for consultant satisfaction with the opportunity. So there's a lot of problems out there right now, and companies need to get out in front of this. There is a way to create a duplicatable virtual party that every consultant with a bit of technical savvy can be successful with. Now, I'm not going to tell you, because it's unrealistic, that every single consultant can do this regardless of technical comfort level. There will be consultants who won't be able to do this, and that's okay. It's important to position this as optional. Consultants are best served with their in-home parties, and that's where they'll make the most money, quite honestly. This in no way replaces the in-home experiences. The virtual party presentation itself has to be created so that no matter the personality of the consultant, the party can achieve similar results. And it can be done because I'm doing it in a company I'm working with right now. The presentation needs to be entertaining based on content, not consultant personality. Therefore, you need to build in things like games, funny and cute images, and education to make the success of the presentation duplicatable. So let's take a look at some best practices you should follow when creating a virtual party presentation. Now, keep in mind that what you actually include in yours will depend a lot on the technology platform you advise your Salesforce to use. And we're going to talk about technology platform options in just a bit. But these are some basic best practices. Number one and most important, these parties must be 30 minutes or less. The shorter the better. People don't want to put in a lot of time, and they will leave. You also can't present the entire catalog. It must be a limited number of products that are offered, and we find often that we get higher sales if we present products in sets. So whatever shopping mechanism that you use, you want to present products in a different way than they are presented on your website currently. The parties that tend to do the best engage multiple senses. So there is a visual component. There's often an audio component. I like to have people on a phone call, a very old school phone call, as well as whatever the visual image is, because even people too tend to click around during these parties. But if they've got the audio in their ear, they'll still hear it, and you can call them back. So that tends to be more successful. This might be the number one thing. Host coaching is essential. The host, I think even more so than an in-home party, and you know how important host coaching is for an in-home party, but just in terms of setting the stage, keeping the conversation going, having your host interact with your guests, and she's probably going to be texting her guests to get them there and texting reminders and all these sorts of things. Host coaching is a huge, huge part of this overall process. I can't stress that enough. I find that whatever technology platform you use, having a Facebook event is helpful for the lead-up portion of the event, whether or not you hold the actual party in the Facebook event. It's very good for reminders because Facebook's got the whole notification going on. It's got interaction that can happen in there. You can include a link for people who can't come. So Facebook events are useful no matter what technology platform you use. And another really important piece here is that this has to be so easy for the consultant. Really, you need to do everything for them, so all they need to focus on is delivering the info, just pretty much how we do our in-home parties. So you need to give them the presentation. You need to give them the script. The less they need to do technically, the better. Really, you just want them to be able to just turn it on, go, and turn it off, and be done whenever possible. And some platforms make that easier than others. You must provide detailed step-by-step training. We find in this test that we're doing with this one company now, even though we have done it screenshot up the wazoo every single step, there's still going to be people who are afraid of technology who will have issues because it's just not as easy as doing an in-home party. Some people are afraid of technology. So the more detailed training you can provide, and lots of it, the better. And you need to provide all of the marketing collateral. You know, they're going to want images. You need to provide them. They're going to need a header for the Facebook event. You need to provide it. All the pieces that they need to be created by corporate so that we do have brand consistency. And then once you create the first one, obviously you'll want to create more and more so that, you know, they have options because consultants like options. But you need to create the marketing collateral. We really don't want them to. And one more thing to keep in mind is that the trickiest part of a virtual party often is the shopping part. Your sales will be lower if you just send people to the consultant website to shop. You need to present that limited number of products. Those product sets mostly need to be under $40 and grouped in sets. And then you can use a customer special that's slightly over that $40 limit to upsell. So, for example, if a product set is $40 and your customer special level is $50, you can encourage guests to add a $10 add-on to qualify for the guest special. You know, that's what we do in in-home parties too, but to up those sales a little bit and make these virtual parties a little more successful financially, that's an important element. And where they shop will depend on the platform you choose. One of the platforms that I'm about to show you actually integrates with your back-end software. That's the easiest solution for customers and for your consultants, but it is also the priciest. Others set up Facebook photo albums or photo albums in other places online and make ordering a manual process where the consultant needs to reach out to each individual guest and take that order over the phone. Shopping is going to be one of the most challenging aspects you'll have to work through when deciding how to set up your virtual party. Okay, so let's take a look at some of the technology platforms that direct sales companies and consultants are using today for virtual parties. I'm going to show you 4 of these. Facebook, we'll talk about how consultants are using that. That's probably the one most people are familiar with. There is Skype. We are going to look at Meet FM, which is actually the platform we're using right now, and also something called 30MVP, which stands for 30-minute virtual party. So let's take a look at each of these and their pros and cons. The platform most people are using right now is Facebook. It is free. That is a big pro. Everyone is on Facebook, so it's pretty easy, and most of your guests are probably already there, although we're finding not everybody. Facebook notifications can remind guests about the party automatically, and you can also post things through a Facebook event that build engagement around the party leading up to it. It also can be easier to reach the host through Facebook. So the event is actually held right within that Facebook event. Typically what happens is that the consultant will set up a separate photo album through their Facebook page, and that's where they send guests to make their purchasing decisions. And then the consultant follows up after the party with a phone call to find out what that person would like to order. Facebook messaging can be used for host coaching. Facebook notifications are great for guest reminders. So what are some of the cons here? Well, first of all, there are a lot of moving pieces. Shopping can be very complicated. Even just getting the phone numbers of guests can be hard. This is where you may need hostess help, if she even has some. Unless the consultant uses video, pre-made video, consultant-created video, it's all chat-based, which is not always very engaging. There's a lot of distraction possible because that notification is going on the whole party, so people can be drawn into other things. This is also a big opportunity for spam, unless a consultant knows what she's doing, because depending on how you set up this event, people can just suddenly have a whole bunch of stuff vomited into their news feeds, which can be very unpleasant. And if your company name is associated with that, by association, that can be negative for the brand. So that's some challenges with the Facebook party. So let's look at Skype. Another platform currently being used for virtual parties is Skype. And you can have up to 10 people video chatting with one another in a Skype-based virtual party. In order to have that capability, the consultant must have a premium account. If she signs up for a full year, it works out to about $4.99 a month. If she does a monthly charge, it is about $10 a month. So not awful, but there is a charge. Some of the benefits of using Skype for the party, it's got video and audio, which when we talked about best practices, we said using multiple senses is useful, so that is an engaging part of this party. And the consultant can demo products just like she would in an in-home party, so you've got that element to it. Now, there are some cons to this. There's that monthly cost for consultants for the pro account. Shopping, again, is complicated. They can't shop right here, so you have to send them somewhere else. So we get back into some of what we did in Facebook. Do we set up the photo album there? Do we have people browse? Do we send them to the consultant website knowing that they're not going to shop as much because too many choices is overwhelming? You still got to figure out that shopping element. It does require guests to have a certain amount of technical savvy. They're going to have to download the Skype software. They're going to have a webcam, and they're going to have to know how to use it. They're going to need to have enough bandwidth to participate, so they can't be in an area where there's not good bandwidth available. And the consultant has to be aware of her background, because sometimes consultants turn on the webcam and they don't think about what's right behind them. There's a certain amount of training that is required in terms of helping her to understand, you know, you either need a screen, and you can see that I use a screen as my background whenever I'm on video on a webcam. Or she needs to make sure that the room behind her is clean and representative of the brand that she's selling. So that is the pros and the cons of Skype. You can see that there are some challenges here. So now let's take a look at Meet FM, which is this platform that we're using right here. It is a relatively new player in the space, and some consultants are having a lot of success with it. It has been designed with the direct selling industry in mind. Some of the players behind this company, who I'm familiar with, are involved in creating this platform, and they are constantly adapting it based on the feedback of direct sellers. So that's nice. Some of the benefits. It is completely web-based, so no downloads required. The audio and visual portion is more engaging. You can see we've got the slides here, something for you to look at. I could send you to a video. I could send you to a website. You can see that I've got a video of myself right up here in the corner, so you can see me. Hi. Corporate can provide branded visuals for this meeting, which makes it easy for the consultants. There are pop-ups, which I will show you in a minute, that make it very easy to link out in an attractive way to wherever you plan to host the shopping. Another really nice piece of this is that it can run from mobile devices. You can preload the presentation into Meet FM. So the slides that you see here, I loaded these up yesterday. And then when it was time for the meeting, I just clicked and selected this because they've got data rooms in the cloud where you can grab your stuff, which means if you're on an iPad, you can still run your meeting. So that's very nice. From a corporate standpoint, they also have a revenue sharing model. So if you get a lot of your consultants to use the platform and you're running it and you're doing it from a corporate level as well, you decide to use your training and things with this platform, they will actually set up revenue sharing with you, so you earn a percentage of the accounts of your consultants, which you can then put back into it, which is nice. And then you can also use this web platform for other things like training, like opportunity interviews, team meetings. You can do that both from a corporate standpoint as well as your consultants can do that as well. So what are some of the cons? Well, it is $15 a month for consultants. That can be pricey. It's cheaper than GoToMeeting. And I will say that one party per month will pay for this, but they have to commit to using it and doing it once per month if they're going to pay for that. The shopping, again, can be complicated depending on where you send them. There is this is not a hard platform to use, but there is a bit of a learning curve for consultants. And it does rely on decent bandwidth. It doesn't require as much bandwidth, especially if you turn off the video, as Skype would. And you can have up to 4 webcams, but typically what we've been training folks to do is just have the consultant and the hostess on video, so it uses less bandwidth. But it does have a bandwidth requirement. So that's Meet FM. And here's the last one I want to show you. This is the 30 MVP, 30-minute virtual party platform. And this is another one that is designed with the direct sales industry in mind. This is probably your most comprehensive option. It also requires programming and setup, and there are costs associated with that. This is your costliest option. It's also your most complete option. Benefits. It is web-based, no downloads. It has an integrated shopping cart and you can decide from a corporate level which product you want in the shopping portion here. And then it can integrate right into your shopping cart. So guests shop right within the meeting. You can preload videos from the company, including product demos, welcome from the founder, or however you want to set this up. It is an interactive experience. People can web chat. And you can kind of see along the bottom here, I know this is small. These would be all the people that are participating in the meeting. So that's kind of similar to Skype. Over on the right, you've got the preloaded videos and then something running in the middle. There is a video chat. So you've got the video chat to keep people engaged. Another really interesting part of this platform is the personal shopper option. And this is a questionnaire that corporate sets up where you say, I'm interested in this. Maybe if I'm skincare, I have, oily skin, I'm interested in this, I'm at this age, whatever. You make those choices, and then based on your answers, the platform will then make a set of product recommendations that it will display to you. So that's a very nice feature that is included with this, and it's part of that setup fee. It also includes games and prizes. You set up the games. You decide what games you want, if you want prizes. And they can either be physical prizes, they can be discounts, they can be digital prizes. You decide what you want to do in there. The consultant can also see real-time wish lists and shopping carts of her guests. So if she sees that a guest has something on their wish list that would get them, for example, up to that customer special level, she can chat with them privately and make product recommendations during the party to up that spend. And really the only con to this is that it's costly. I mean, this is the one that you decide to go with when you're all in. Now, when I say costly, it's probably not as bad as you're thinking. There is a setup fee, and then there is a monthly cost associated with it. It is the most expensive of the options, but it's actually not awful. So, and I'm happy to discuss any of these software options for your company with you after this call if you would like to kind of talk about what would work best for your company. There are, as you can see, benefits and drawbacks to each, and what you choose really depends on what you're looking to do, how deeply you want to get into this right now. Now, in addition to the technology, your consultants will also need additional materials from you. Here's what you need to provide to keep this as simple as possible for your consultants and guests. Number one, you must provide the script. They need to know what to do every second of that party. And also, depending on the platform, you may need to provide slides as well, the visual portion of the party. You absolutely will need to provide training, as we talked about earlier, very, very detailed training. Very specific host coaching tips and scripts, so they know how to prepare their hostess for this new kind of experience, because the hostess probably has not experienced one of these before either, or at least not one that's going to be in the same format you're doing. So need to spend a lot of time giving them the tools they need to host coach appropriately. They will need an invitation script that prepares guests for what this is and what the guest needs to do ahead of time to prepare technically. Otherwise, you're going to have that beginning like, oh, my gosh, I can't get in, and, you spend 15 minutes on, oh, my gosh, I can't get in. And then you're going to need to prepare a lot of marketing collateral. You're going to need a Facebook event header, lead-up images that you're going to use to get people excited about it. This is an example of one right there. They're going to need that Evite template. They're going to need other kinds of images, maybe videos. Depending on the platform that you choose, there will be other things that you need to provide as well. But the point is, make it all. You don't want them to feel like they have to make it. You need to provide all of it for your sales force. So I hope that I have provided you with a good overview of the virtual party landscape today and gotten you started on thinking about what it would take for your company to have a successful, duplicatable virtual party. And I've got a special offer for all of you. I'm offering a free 30-minute consultation for your company where you can ask questions specific to your company's needs for virtual parties. And to schedule your 30 minutes, you just simply need to email me at jen@lucemurphyfong.com. And I also want to give you today's slides, so I'm actually going to pop something up for you right here. You can go ahead and click this link right here that I've just popped up on the right-hand side. I've set up a resource page for this webinar where you can download today's slides and access some other resources that you may find valuable. I'm using the pop-up feature of Meet.fm, so you can click over to this page now. Keep in mind that you will need a password to access this page. The password is virtual, all lowercase, replacing the I with the number 1. So it's V1RTUAL is the password. And that is it. I hope you've enjoyed today's webinar, which is sponsored by Luce, Murphy, Fong & Associates. And to learn more about Luce, Murphy, Fong, which provides experienced consulting for every aspect of your direct sales company, from operations to training to video to technology, please visit our website at lucemurphyfong.com. And you can always email me directly at jen@lucemurphyfong.com. So thank you so much for joining me today. I'm going to end this recording now.